Welcome to my channel, Acheno Ogola the lawyer, Karibuni Sana, and today I am so happy to have one of my friends here. She's Hey, you will know when she starts talking who she is, yes, and you're going to be talking about the field of academia. If you enjoy the channel, like, share, and subscribe. So, welcome, Christy. Thank you so much for agreeing to have this interview. I mean, all the way from UK till here. We planned this while you're in the UK and you've come. I'm so grateful. Yeah, so maybe you could start by introducing yourself to the viewers so that they can know who this lovely lady is. Yes.
So my name is Christy Eboso. I'm 27 years of age. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I got admitted to the bar in 2018 November. So I'm currently living in the United Kingdom. Not practicing in the United Kingdom, but I'm there because I work in the United Kingdom as a lecturer of public law. And I'm also a student, a PhD researcher, and I'm also doing research. So I'm a PhD researcher at the University of Kent under the Vice Chancellor Scholarship at the University of Kent, and I'm also a researcher with the University of Cambridge under the Gender and the Law Department. Yes.
Wow, all those hats. Okay. Yes, I'm glad by there. I'm so inspired by what you do at such a young age. And I think it's also an inspiration for other young women in that profession. Yeah, so maybe now you could start by telling us your journey and how you got to where you are right now. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So where do I start from? I mean, I always remind people that I went to Alliance. And I think the things that I learned at Alliance, I credit so very many things of what I am or who I am because I went to Alliance. And probably that's why maybe I carry the Alliance, name with so much pride in me. So after that, I joined the University of Nairobi, School of Law, Parklands. I did my law degree. I had a second upper. I was among the top in my class. After that, I joined the Kenya School of Law immediately. So I did my Kenya School of Law for 1 year. Then during my time at the Kenya School of Law, I joined the University of Nairobi for my master in law. So I was doing both my KSL and my master at the same time. I was able to do my master's, finish it in a record of 1 year, which very many people are not able to do. And I was also the youngest in my master's class. So, in a class of about maybe 120 people. So after my master's, as I was doing my master's and doing my KSL, I was also able to finish my KSL and, I passed, with the first sitting. So, probably something I thank God. I do not know how I did it, but I do thank God. So, yes, so immediately I finished my KSL. I did my pupillage with Harvey and company advocates. Nelson Harvey was my pupil master. So while I was doing my pupillage, I finished, and then I was pushed. I was pushed so much, to try, do a PhD, and maybe I would contribute it to my master's supervisor. Dr. Nkatha Kabira, and she would constantly tell me, I think you need to apply for a PhD. And that's how I ended up applying to different universities. Of course, I got different offers, but I ended up taking the offer at the University of Kent. So that's why I'm right now. Yes.
Wow. I can just say wow. I love how your journey is. And actually, I'm even wondering how you're able to hack KSL and a master's class. How are you able to do it? Because even for some people, KSL alone is just enough stress. Yes.
It was a very difficult journey. So I would do my KSL classes in the morning. So I would probably have, I think, 2 classes in a day, KSL, and then take a matatu to Parklands. So I'm coming from Karen to go to school because school starts at 5. My master's classes would start at 5:30, yeah? And then, I get to school, because I would always try and get to school before 5:30, because I was also a class representative at my master's class. So I need to go try getting the sign-in sheets. I'm in correspondence with my lecturers, and then, I have to convey the message to my classmates. It was really crazy, yeah? And then you still have weekly assignments that you have to do during the master's classes. Every single week you do have assignments that you have to do. You have group work. You have to read. It was really, really crazy for me, really crazy. And classes would end at 8:30. Then at 8:30, I have to go back home, and, we stay in Karen. So you can try and imagine my journey, from the Kenya School of Law to Parklands. At 8:30, I'm back, going back at home. And I remember I would always get home at about 10 p.m. in the night, yeah? Sometimes I could not eat. I would get home really exhausted, and I have to sleep, because the next day, it's almost a cycle. And the cycle kept going on, because even after I finished KSL, I was still doing my master's, and, so I was doing my pupillage and my master's. And I remember it was so bad that, that I could only see my family on Sunday, because I was doing my pupillage on Saturday as well, yeah? I could only see my father on Sundays, and I remember it was such a problem to him that he didn't understand, why are you going to work on Saturday as well, yeah? And it was quite a problem. It was very, very frustrating, yeah? And I think his concerns were coming from a place of, a good place, yeah? As a father, you're concerned. You don't see your kid from Monday to Saturday. You only get to see them on Sunday. And even that same Sunday, I look really busy, really busy, because I need to catch up with school and such things, yeah? But I managed to do it anyway. And as I said, I'm really, really thankful to my supervisor, my LLM supervisor. She pushed me so much. She would push me and tell me, you have to finish this thing in 1 year. And I finished it, top of my LLM class as well. So it's God. It's God. I pretty much don't have an answer, but it needs also a lot of discipline. God just doesn't give you success. You really must work for it. So I'd say it's God and a lot of discipline. Yes. Yeah.
I already admire your journey, and even as we are continuing to discuss this whole field of academia, why did you decide, what drove you actually, let me say, what drove you to do your master's? Is it that, okay, you're like, I'm now majoring in this field, or how did you fall into that space?
I think as you grow up, you develop dreams, yeah? And as I said, sometimes when you dream, there's so much beauty in dreaming, yeah? So, you always want the best for yourself. You want to build your career, yeah? So you would take up anything that tends to build that particular career. So, I thought, I've finished my undergraduate. I've done extremely well. What's stopping me from doing a master's, yeah? And the moment I started doing my master's, I made up my mind that, that as much as, yes, I want to practice, I really enjoy practice, I enjoyed litigation. I think the world of academia is a world I want to venture, and I said, at whatever cost, I will do it. Let me have a taste of the world of academia. And another thing, I had very good role models around me. Yeah, there was Professor Kameri Mbote, there was Dr. Nkata Kabira, there was Dr. Scholastica Omondi. There was such a strong support system around me that kept on pushing me. They would tell me, Christy, you can do it. We did it. You can do it. And I would look at some of them. Sometimes when I would sit down with Professor Kameri Mbote, and she would give me, tell me about her journey. And, and she would tell me she took, about 6-7 years to do her PhD. Dr. Nkata Kabira would tell me she took about 7 years to do her PhD. I would look at Dr. Agnes Meroka, and I would say, in fact, if there's someone who really, really inspired me from from about the age of 23 when I was doing my undergraduate, it has to be Dr. Agnes Meroka. She would teach us gender and the law, and I would see her talk, and I would say, I want to be like Dr. Agnes Meroka. So maybe I'm living Dr. Agnes Meroka's dream. She probably is the one person who inspired me so much. Yes.
So now what did you do for your master's?
Well, I did a master in law, governance and democracy. So which, I mean, my master's mainly focused, on gender and the law, because I was doing a critique of, of the gender composition in the Kenyan Senate, yeah? And of course, I was criticizing, the whole aspect about, the nomination of women, to Senate, how the same looks like, it has met the one-third gender rule, but it hasn't met, because, I mean, it's more of about the quantity of women vis-a-vis substantive representation, yeah? So I was doing a critique of gender representation in the Kenyan Senate. So that pretty much falls under, law governance and democracy.
Wow.
Yes.
And now for your PhD, what are you doing?
So I'm doing a PhD. Of course, my PhD is still on law and gender, or rather gender and the law. And of course, it's a sort of a social legal sort of study, because, I mean, I'm there because I'm at the Kent Law School, yeah, under the social legal studies, department, yeah. So my PhD still looks at the one-third gender rule or principle, yeah, but only that now I'm criticizing its implementation, and I'm trying to, I mean, for me, I'm saying that the intent of the one-third gender principle is a very good intent, yeah, but I mean, we cannot achieve it as it is right now, yeah. So for me, I'm trying to argue, or rather trying to give different ways in which we can actually implement this whole one-third gender principle or gender rule, yeah? So, I mean, for me, now I'm focusing so much on its implementation, I mean, at both the National Assembly and even the Senate, yeah? And of course, I'm doing a lot of comparisons, yeah, looking at how Germany, France, how exactly they've been able to do it, yes.
Now, Christy, gaining the master's, what opportunities has it opened for you? And even now, as you're doing your PhD, can you say it gives you a level or an edge over the rest of us, or not us really, but other people? Yeah.
As I said earlier on, I wouldn't really have a definite answer for that, yeah. Because for starters, I mean, people take different paths. We have those people who've not done a master's and they're doing extremely well in life, yeah? We have those ones who've done a master's and they're doing extremely well, yeah? I mean, for anyone who wants to join the world of academia, the world of consultancy, a master's is very, very important, yeah? I don't think you would advance without a master, yeah? But if you want to probably just focus on litigation, maybe having a master's or a PhD is good for your CV, if you just want to practice, yeah? But for the world of academia, and then, I mean, academic progression is so key. So for me, I would want to practice, but at the same time, I'm very much concentrated in the world of academia, so definitely it is doing good to me. It's been an advantage, and even as I do my PhD, I've been able to go for a couple of conferences, and just networking is very, very important. So I mean, I've traveled in the UK, gone to different universities just to attend conferences, and the network has been very, very profound. So it's good for me, yes.
It's important for people to appreciate that in the field of, let me say, in the legal arena, you can be anything. It's up to you to decide what you want to be, right? And even now, as you've been progressing along your journey, what challenges have you faced, and have you been able to overcome them? And yeah, what could you advise someone as you're progressing in the academic world?
I mean, academia is a very toxic environment, really, really toxic environment. I see people complain about practice, but the academia is largely a very, very toxic world. And so it needs someone with very, very, very strong balls. If I was to use the word balls, yeah? You need balls to advance in the world of academia. There is the issue about imposter syndrome, which in the past 1 year, I mean, I suffer from a lot of imposter syndrome. I'm the youngest in my PhD class. I mean, I'm learning, I'm in the same class, with people who are probably, doing, I mean, they've done 3 master programs, they are lecturers, they're doing very well in the Western world, they're doing very, very well in the different fields, and I am seated there, and sometimes we go through, I do have weekly study groups, yeah, where you do have particular readings every single week, and you guys meet and discuss on those readings, and they have to pick your mind, yeah, and so sometimes you listen to people speaking, and you feel so little of yourself, yeah. You ask yourself, okay, so what exactly am I doing here? And you have to keep going. You have to keep going. So it's a world that can easily birth imposter syndrome in anyone. I have seen 50-year-olds plus crying. Someone tells you they have kids who are probably my age, yeah? But when they are writing on, they're telling you about their PhD journey. Someone just breaks down, yeah? I have seen someone, that I know, defended their PhD thesis and then committed suicide after that. You actually defend your PhD thesis, then you commit suicide because you look at that particular journey. It's the hardest thing, and I think I have learned to respect people with a PhD. I respect anyone who has done that thing. I do not know how they managed to do it. I'm into my second year of my PhD, and it is a crazy world. It is a very, very toxic world. If you do not, the whole seniority thing in the academia is very, very real, and sometimes I keep on asking myself, where exactly, do you place one's mental health in the world of academia? You are constantly always, receiving rejections. You're writing, you're trying to write papers, receiving rejections. You have to be peer reviewed. It's quite a hard world, but I do not regret a single bit, yeah? I think if I was to go back in time, I would still choose to do what I'm doing right now. I would still choose to sit there and, throughout different nights, not being able to sleep, yeah, not being able to speak to my friends as often as I would do it, yeah, living a very lonely world because it's a very, very lonely journey, and I'm away from my family. I'm in a cold country, there is the time difference, I'm alone. I'm alone in a foreign country with little or no friends, yeah. And I am there because I'm trying to chase my dream. It's a dream that I have to chase at all costs. So I sit through it and I tell myself, I'm not the first one, neither am I going to be the last one, yeah? And you listen to people's stories and you tell yourself, I have to do it. I did not take a 10-hour flight to come here, get beaten by the cold weather, by the winters, to give up along the way. So, it's been a journey of me crying, and I keep on telling people that every time you see me on social media laughing and making fun, that is my little space where I get to be myself. That is the one place that gives me a lot of happiness. Seeing people live a very happy life there, and also trying, myself, trying to project a very happy life. It's a very, very happy space for me. So I go to social media, I will laugh with people, and then, after that, I'll go back to my little cocoon, and try to chase my dreams. So it's a very, very challenging journey. If you want to join the academia world, you just must fight. It's a war. You're fighting yourself. You're fighting your own thoughts because of imposter syndrome. You're fighting almost everything that is surrounding you. It's a war that you're into, and so it needs a lot of discipline, a lot of courage. So with it, and you need God, yeah. I consider myself God's favorite child, yeah, because I have instances when I will send my father very, very long messages, and I'll tell him, I'm about to give up, yeah? And what my father always tells me, I think my father thinks that I just need to go to the gym. His response is always, I'm praying for you, and please go to the gym, yeah? Just go to the gym. It will help you. I don't know why he always imagines that the gym is an answer to my problems, but he's always telling me, go to the gym. Not that I go to the gym anyway, but my father's response is always go to the gym. He will never entertain those thoughts. When I get to that point and I'm telling him that I'm almost giving up, he'll actually ignore everything else that I'm telling him, and then his stopper will be, please go to the gym, and he'll tell me, we are praying for you, please go to the gym. So, you just need support from your friends, support from your peers, support from people that you look up to, and support from people who've actually gone through that particular journey. But it's a very, very difficult journey. I would not lie to you, and I'm a person of color. I'm surrounded by white people and white supremacy, and I am a woman, a very young woman for that matter. So it's not an easy journey, being a person of color, being a woman, and at my very little age, being surrounded by white supremacy, and and people who are, professors, people who've been in the academia for the longest time, it quite bats a sort of imposter syndrome. But I'm learning to fight it.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, I really can't wait for the day.
Oh my
for the day that you'll be crowned.
Oh my goodness. I
Yes.
cannot wait. I cannot
Yes.
wait.
The journey will be worth it for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
And along your journey, I know you've encountered a lot, but even as we're continuing with the discussion, what could you say has stood out for you in terms of the values that has enabled you to reach here? Because, as you said, people would see Christy on social media and think, she just did it, But I think that there has to be some thought process or some values that, as you said, have been instilled. So what exactly has stood out for you in your journey?
I think it's my discipline, which I would say I associate it so much to my father, yeah? I mean, my father is probably the one person who believes in me and also does not believe in me. It's a paradox, yeah? And I think when my father looks at me, he's amazed, yeah? I think he's extremely amazed. And I think I'm his proudest moment, it has to be his daughter, yeah? I am the firstborn daughter to my father. And I mean, and his only other daughter, because we are only two girls. And I have an older brother who's a doctor. My older brother he has always been the A student, the boy, who'd constantly always do so well, the one who'd always, would always expect my brother to come home with his A's, and everything, yeah? So my brother set a very good example, yeah, towards me. And I am where I am, largely because I really look up to my brother, yeah? I kept on telling myself that I must beat my brother at his own game, yeah? And I've managed it, and I think he and my dad are quite amazed, yeah? And so while my brother, for him, he's completely into practicing medicine, I chose a different path, yeah? And my father was a disciplinarian, yeah? And I remember my father would constantly push me so much. He would constantly push me so much that even when I was in campus, my father was constantly the energy that kept on pushing me, and he would always push me. And even when I started my master's, my father was also doing his master's. When he was just completing his master's when I was about to start my master's. And I remember he kept on telling me that he's doing his master's because he does not want me to do a master's before he does his master's, yeah? And my dad did his master's. He's fully into work. And then he also managed to do his master's for 1 year, 1 year he was done. So he kept on telling me, I did it even with the responsibilities. I managed to do it. So I think you can also do it, yeah? So I think it requires a lot of discipline once you're a very, very disciplined person. And you also need to know what you want in life, yeah? You do not expect to go into the academia world, and sit back and wait for grades to happen. It doesn't work that way. You have to read. You really, really must read. I don't even know whether I enjoy reading, or nowadays I do it because I have to do it, but you just have to keep on reading. You just must just tell yourself, what, I must open my books and read, yeah? You just have to push yourself, that's the word, yeah? And then there is also the whole aspect about my confidence, although I've told people I've developed imposter syndrome recently, yeah? My confidence runs from here till Timbuktu, yeah? For me, I will call a spade by its name, yeah? I know I will say it and I will go. I rarely, I'm not scared to say it, yeah? And while sometimes it's a very good thing, sometimes it's a very bad thing because we have those people who say, I'm very condescending as a person, yeah? And probably it is because, people are not used to a woman who can actually speak, and she's not scared to speak, yeah? So more often than not, they'll say, you're very condescending because I have an opinion, yeah? And that's just it, yeah? But I keep on telling myself that confidence has really taken me places, yeah? Sometimes I get into places, I do not have quite an idea of what is happening, but I will get on my 2 feet and I will do my thing. And then everyone will ask me, did you prepare yourself? And I'll say, no, I did not. You get it. It's just the confidence that gets me going.
I'm just amazed.
yeah, you're thinking, okay, this girl, she knows her stuff. Sometimes I don't know my stuff. In fact, more often than not, I probably do not know my stuff. So you just need a lot of discipline. For me, I would say number one, it's always discipline, hard work, and just learn to be yourself. Just learn to be you and know what works best for you. Don't do something because Christy's doing is doing it. I will only inspire you, but don't do it because Christy's doing it. Because you do not know how I'm doing it, so do not just do it because I'm doing it. Let me inspire you, but choose your own journey and choose your own path and just take your own path. Yep.
Wow, wow. I am loving this. And now we are going to the point where now you're a lecturer. How has it been? I mean, being a lecturer in a foreign university, but among the top, yeah, in the world. Has it been teaching white people? That do they pay attention? What's your experience?
I teach public law. Public law is essentially what we would call constitutional law in an ideal situation, rather in an ideal world, yeah. But the UK does not have a codified constitution, so they wouldn't call it constitutional law. So they give it the name public law, yeah. And so I remember when I was told, I was given different units, and I was told you have to pick one. So which one would you pick? And I used to enjoy constitutional law here. Professor Ben Sihanya was my lecturer, and I really enjoyed constitutional law. So I said, you know what, I'm going to pick public law. And I think I thought it was going to be a very easy journey. Now, when I was told, now you're teaching public law, it's like, the European law is completely different from the Kenyan law, yeah? The UK constitutional system or setting, it's a completely different setting that, they believe so much in parliamentary sovereignty, while Kenya for us, sovereignty lies in the people and, in the constitution, yeah? In the UK, it's parliament that, it's the end and the beginning, yeah? And so here I was. Myself, I don't even believe in parliamentary sovereignty, but I have to teach my students, and tell them the UK practices parliamentary sovereignty, something that I don't even believe in myself, yeah? And I had to read constitutional public law from scratch for me to understand it, yeah? I would attend other lecturers' classes, to just have a grasp of what it is like to teach public law, yeah? And here I was teaching white students. I'm teaching Canadians. What happens about Canadian students is law is a second degree, yeah? So these are students who've done another degree, so they're extremely brilliant, yeah? So you have to come into that class when you're very, very prepared, really, really prepared, because white students can be quite brilliant, yeah? But my class does not just have white students alone. It also has people of color, yeah? I prefer to not use the word black people because I'm told you should not use the word black people in a white setting. So
People of color.
exactly, yeah, people of color. So, but the beauty of it is that I teach first years, and I think most of them, they look at me from a sister, an older sister sort of perspective, yeah? So in fact, I keep on telling them, don't call me Miss, yeah? Just call me Christy. So my students refer to me by my first name, yeah? I tell them, don't use any titles on me at all, yeah? Just call me Christy. And so I've created a very, very good relationship with my students that even when I was finished, when I finished teaching them, their entire first year of public law, my students had really, really good, because my students have to review me, yeah? For me to progress, yes. In the UK, your students review you, yeah? And I was given my students reviews and I just broke down, and my students speak so highly of me, really, really highly of me. And I think it's because I've created a very, very good rapport with my students. I would choose my students over and over again. Apart from my social media, which gives me a lot of happiness, the only other people who, if not my friends and my family, who give me such happiness, it's those little kids that I have to teach every single Monday and Tuesday. And right now, I'm also an academic advisor, yeah? So I'm an academic advisor to third years, yeah, in the United Kingdom, yeah? So at least every once in 3 weeks, I have to meet with my students, my third year students, and, and I have to advise them, and it's the most fulfilling thing that I think I have done in my life. And I think teachers they're not appreciated enough. And I think a teacher who loves his students or her students will be happy. I'm very, very happy. I would choose my students over and over again. I would choose lecturing over and over again. I've also been able to lecture at the University of Nairobi. Or, sometimes Professor Kameri Mbote and Dr. Meroka will invite me to teach gender and the lawyer. And it is very, very fulfilling when you finish that particular lecture and, and the students, are happy, and the students will write an email to you and they will tell you, thank you very much. I mean, teaching is it's a fulfilling job, a very, very fulfilling job. Yes.
I must say I'm very impressed, considering that this is, a space that you didn't expect to be in,
Yes.
but life put you in that space, and yet you're thriving at such a young age. I'm so encouraged. Thank you.
I mean, we try. Thank you, we try.
Yes. So, even as we are almost winding up, so you said you got admitted in 2018.
Yes, in November 2018.
So, now as an advocate also, how has it been, or can you say there are any challenges that young advocates faced? Because I believe you stayed for a while before you progressed to do your PhD.
I mean, for starters, there is the issue. It's not easy to get jobs right now in the legal profession, yeah? So many people are actually getting admitted to the bar, but you can barely find a job. And even when you find that particular job, you're remunerated in peanuts, yeah? You're being paid very, very little amounts of money. And I look at the legal profession here, and I try to compare it, to the UK and even to the Western world, where lawyers are actually remunerated really, really well, yeah, as opposed to Kenya, yeah. In the UK, lawyers, it's a very, very prestigious, path, very, very prestigious career. Lawyers are remunerated really, really well, yeah. For me, I think when I started working, and especially as an advocate, my bosses, then, yeah, they paid me really, really well. For a first-year advocate, I think I was being paid quite a good amount of money, as opposed to what most of my peers were getting paid, and even what most of my peers, who are probably 3 years in the profession, are being paid, yeah? So, I mean, I was probably just one amongst the very few who are being paid really well, yeah? And then I also have a really, really big problem with this entire, I mean, you look at the job market, even if the jobs are there, they tell you, we need an advocate who has a 5-year experience, 10-year experience. And I'm thinking, so where exactly is the 1-year experience advocate supposed to work? I mean, it's a sad reality. While they say that experience is good, they need people who are experienced, but I think it's quite also discriminating in a particular way. And that is how I think the job market ends up losing really, really brilliant minds because of this entire, I call it nonsense, called, let us have an year experience cut off and such things, yeah? And so I think that is one thing maybe we need to relook, yeah, when we're talking about, placing the young advocates, into context and such things, yeah? So, I mean, and also, even if you look at the advocates who are working, there are very, very poor working conditions that surround young advocates in this country. You're not being given your leave days. First of all, you're being paid so poorly, yeah? Then even your advocates don't even care about your mental health. Advocates don't, your bosses do not care, they don't really care about your mental health. Some of them don't even get leave. How do you work for an entire year without leave? And then also, you also come to realize that advocates are working in this country without a contract. You do ask someone, produce your employment contract. They do not have a contract, and you're thinking, why would you pick up a job without a contract? Then what exactly protects you as a person, yeah? So, I mean, I think if there is a group of people, in the legal profession who are really suffering in this profession, it has to be the young advocates, yeah? And also sometimes, you must, for you to advance in this profession, you probably must be a child of someone. Your father or mother must have been someone. It's almost very hard for you to cut a niche if you do not have a name that really, really supports you. You must be someone. You must be coming from somewhere for you to be doing extremely, for you to get an opportunity in this profession, yeah? But that is not to take away people who've actually come from nowhere and they're doing extremely well, yeah? I mean, those are people I think I'm extremely proud of. You can actually say, I started off with nothing, with no name. I've built that name by myself, yeah? So, I mean, those are people I really, really look up to, and I tell myself, oh, wow, you know what, you really must have worked really, really hard, yeah? Because for me, I keep on saying, I think I'm also where I am because of where I come from. You get, yeah? I mean, my father set a very, very good ground for me. So I almost came from a point where he had already raised that ground for me. So now it was just up to me to work extremely hard, and not disappoint him at all. So that is why when I say, my father he's my biggest support system. I wouldn't do this without my father. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
really awesome. And even as you're talking about the challenges, especially for young female advocates, I know it's even on another different level.
Yes.
Because I've been hearing that sometimes even as a lady, if you now are within the childbearing age, it's hard for even to get a leave, right? Or would you comment about
It's actually very true. And that's why I keep on saying the labor laws that surround the legal profession. I mean, while we are lawyers and, we are probably the ones who make these laws, we just ask us, how are we implementing these laws around ourselves or amongst ourselves, and it almost comes down to zero, yeah? And young female advocates are having it really, really hard. That by the time even a young female advocate decides, okay, I want to start a family, yeah? And I probably want to get to a sort of place where I want to have my own children, you start imagining, okay, so maternity leave, will I lose my job if I go for maternity leave? Yeah, will I even be given this maternity leave? Yeah, you see people in maternity leave, but they're looking at themselves and they're like, I'm earning half my salary, and you're thinking you're actually supposed to be earning your full salary even when you're on that maternity leave. Yeah, and I think also as a young female advocate, we have issues about sexual harassment in places of work. Yeah, it's actually true. Young female advocates are being sexually harassed. Yeah, and now we go back, to that position where we ask ourselves, what laws are there to protect these young female advocates? What exactly is the LSK doing, yeah, to protect young female advocates who are facing sexual harassment in this country, yeah? And even besides the point, I mean, there is so much patriarchy in the profession as well, yeah? Patriarchy, I mean, when I speak about patriarchy, I speak about it with such a passion, yeah? Because even as a female advocate, the moment you try to advance in life, somehow patriarchy speaks so loudly, yeah? You'll hear things like, she's sleeping with someone, and you're thinking, is it because a woman cannot be successful without depending on a man? On what exactly are you people talking about, yeah? You get a lot of, sexual insults that surround you. And when you ask, these particular people who perpetuate these insults, you ask them, so what evidence do you even have regards, to something like, such assaults, yeah? And I mean, none of them has the evidence. It's just because you're doing well as a female, as a young female advocate, then somehow it's, you're always being associated, it's always a sexual insult, which is very, very sad. But I keep on telling women, please dream, yeah? Please break those barriers, yeah? And, and if you want to disappoint your enemies, please become very successful. Keep on disappointing them. Please keep on being successful as a young woman, a dream, take up those opportunities. I mean, shut your ears. Naysayers are there. Very few people wish other people well in the legal profession. I mean, you have to shut your ears. It's the eye, eye on the ball, yeah? And somehow you'll break it. Keep going, keep on pushing. I will keep on cheering women in the profession, and I'll keep on telling women, please dream, yeah? It's so beautiful to dream, yeah? And it's very, very beautiful to see young female advocates doing extremely well out of sheer hard work. It's very beautiful. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Humbled by your words, and of course, as you've said, it's up to us. Actually, I usually say there is no glass ceiling. I mean, you can do anything and become anything as long as you put your work to it, right? Yes. And even now, as we conclude, Christy, what will be your parting shot to young advocates, to anyone who hopes to join the academia, be it not necessarily even a lawyer, just anyone who wants to join, and to young people aspiring to be lawyers?
Mm-hmm. I mean, as I've said, dreams, yeah, the beauty of dreams, dreams are so sweet, you just want to sit at its table. At any point you must sit at, at that table that screams dreams, yeah? Mm-hmm. So the first thing, please dream. Dream as big as you can dream, I mean, I think you can be you can be anything that you want to be if you dream and if you actually put the hard work to it, yeah? It's eye on the ball. It's always eye on the ball, yeah? So I would tell anyone, please, yeah, welcome. If you want to join the world of academia, please welcome to the world of academia. It's a very, very difficult journey, but it's very fulfilling. As I've said, it's really toxic. It can get very toxic, and I think it's because of the whole superiority wars in the world of academia. But it is a very, very beautiful journey. If you want to walk it, please walk through that particular journey. Get inspiration from people who've walked through that particular journey when they do not have responsibilities, because it's very hard to walk through the world of academia when you have family responsibilities. It's really hard because it's very time consuming. It's a very, very lonely journey, really, really lonely journey. And even, if, I mean, it's when even someone, when someone tries to show an interest towards me, even a man, yeah, I normally tell them, can you withstand the fact that, sometimes I will not be there? Because, I mean, my mind is so much condensed into, in trying to, to write my papers, trying to fight in the academia world, that sometimes I will get lost into it, yeah? And it's because I'm trying to fight for my dreams. These are my dreams. I have to dream anyway, yeah? So, and then, work extremely hard as a person, yeah? You don't wake up and you're successful. Yeah. I'm not successful, yeah? But I honestly consider myself very, very confidently, I would say. I think I'm doing well for myself, yeah? And, that I will not speak negativity into my life. So I will confidently say, I think I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Exactly, yeah. Exactly, yeah. In my own rights, yes, in my own rights, I am very successful, yeah. So, and I mean, success does not have to be in terms of monetary and money things, yeah. So, I would tell someone, you must work very hard. You must be really, really disciplined as a person, yeah. And and you must figure out what you want in life, yeah. And while at it, please, yeah. God, God is very, very instrumental in our lives. When you're having a hard time, sometimes, even for the non-believers, I know I sound very, very discriminatory in my words because we have people who do not believe. But I would say, for me, it has been God. Yeah. Really, it has been God, and it's largely God, yeah? So I can never, ever take away the fact that God has played such a key role in my life. Those moments when I break down and I cry, I go on my knees and I tell God, you know what, just open a way for me. Yeah? And somehow, after I've cried through the journey, when I wake up in the morning, it always feels less heavier. Somehow I just tell my friends, you know what, I feel a little less heavier. And that's why I keep on saying, I think I'm God's favorite child. Yeah, God takes care of me. Yeah, and everything I do it, it's for His glory, yeah? That I have to give back. When I go to teach my students, I have to teach them because, they are also God's own, yeah? And my purpose in this life is to teach them really, really well, that when I'm done teaching, my students look back and they say, she impacted our lives so positively, yeah? When I do my PhD, even in my tribulations, yeah, I will give it my best. I will not sleep at night, yeah? I will go for 36 hours, and I'm literally behind a computer, trying to footnote my work, yeah? And then I will tell myself, what, when you do something, do it to the glory of God. Sit down and tell yourself, God gave me an opportunity and I actually used it pretty well, yeah? So put God first at all costs, remember He is the giver, He is the taker, He is the provider. And when you do not ask from Him, He does not give you. So when you're even asking from God, please be intentional. Tell God, be specific about what you're asking from God, because God does not act in a vacuum. You must tell Him, I want this, yeah? And one thing, my mother just died a few months before I graduated, from my undergrad, yeah? And I remember my mother is the one person, who raised me with a lot of grace and pride, yeah? That I think wherever she is, I think she is the proudest human being, yeah? And when she passed away, I was seated right there when she died. It's me who called my family and told my family, things are really bad, yeah? And my entire family came, yeah? And when she took her last breath, we were all there, yeah? And I cried. I really, really broke down. But I said, I will live for my mother. You know, if not for anyone else, then it has to be for that lady, yeah? Because she raised me with a lot of grace and a lot of pride as her first child, yeah? So, I mean, please work hard, dream, be very disciplined, and remember, God takes care of his children, and I think we are all God's children.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. This has been lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people will be inspired by your journey, by your story. And thank you so much for agreeing to come. I know it was on such a short notice. Yes, but I'm so grateful. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me. You know, I hope, you know, whoever I've inspired, you know, may you get inspired. You know, for those who say, Christy, you inspire us. I hope I really do inspire you, and I hope you choose your journey, you choose your path, and you give it your best at whatever cost. Please just give it your best. That is, you know, we owe ourselves that much, and we owe those around us that much. So, I mean, that's all I had to say today. We can probably go and have a cup of tea. Can we go have a cup of tea? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.